So we've got some performance number finally on the S650 Mustangs, and the results are not what we would want. Hey guys, welcome to Red 50. Thank you for tuning into another video. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the latest release performance numbers, the 0 to 60, the quarter mile time on the Mustang GT, and also the Mustang Ecoboost. Now, numbers are numbers, so for it to be relevant and you can do some sort of a comparison, I'm going to compare it to the S550 Mustangs as well, so you can kind of make a comparison and see if it's worth to justify that kind of money for a brand new Mustang. So as we know, the Mustang GT is going to have 480 horsepower in the Gen 4 Coyote motor for the 2024 model year. The Mustang Ecoboost is going to have the 315 horsepower, 2.3 liter Ecoboost engine. You can get the Mustang GT to have 486 horsepower with the active valve exhaust. Which is kind of strange because I have the active valve exhaust on my 2019 Mustang GT, which I absolutely love, but there's no extra horsepower gains. I don't know what Ford did with the newer model year, or they probably just didn't bother changing the horsepower figures, because the one I have makes 460 horsepower with the active valve exhaust, and without the active valve exhaust, it also makes 460 horsepower. So for the S650 Mustang, it makes 6 more horsepower, which kind of makes sense because Chevy has been doing this for a long time, where you get 6 horsepower extra if you go for the performance exhaust or the active exhaust. Alright, so now that we have the horsepower numbers for the 2024 Mustangs, let's also talk about the 2023 Mustang horsepower, so you can kind of see when we compare the numbers, how they compare from generation to generation. So the 2023 Mustang GT makes 450 horsepower, which is 10 less than mine because they had to do something with the emissions, and there's a carbon trap filter in there that reduces 10 horsepower. You can remove it if you want to get 10 extra horsepower, but that's what Ford has to do, so it advertises as a 450 horsepower. While the Mustang Ecoboost makes 310 horsepower, which is pretty impressive from a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. So Edmunds was fortunate enough to get the Mustangs and were able to do a 0 to 60 time and also quarter mile time for a Mustang GT, the 2024 Mustang GT, with a 6-speed manual transmission, and 2024 Mustang Ecoboost convertible, which is obviously the heaviest of the bunch, with a 10-speed automatic transmission. So we get to see those numbers. So the numbers for the Mustang GT is going to be 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds and a quarter mile time in 12.7 seconds. Again, this is the one with the 480 horsepower and a 6-speed manual transmission. While the Mustang Ecoboost came in at 0 to 60 with 5.6 seconds and a quarter mile time of a 14.2 seconds. See, if I'm being honest, those times are definitely slower than the S550 Mustang, and they're not impressive at all, especially that the both model year, the GT and the Ecoboost, actually gained horsepower for the S650 7th Gen Mustang. So for comparison's sake, the S550 Mustang, the 2019 Mustang GT with the performance pack, manual transmission, so the performance pack has a little bit better tires. I don't know if this one, the one Edmunds tested, was a performance pack or not, but for comparison's sake, 460 horsepower 2019 Mustang GT with the 6-speed manual transmission and a performance pack did 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds and did a quarter mile time in 12.7 seconds. The quarter mile time hasn't changed, but the 0 to 60 changed almost 0.4 seconds, which to me is kind of puzzling because you have more horsepower. You have 20 more horsepower. You have supposedly better refined manual transmission for the S650 Mustang generation, and it's just not able to put the power down. I mean, we can see the weight has increased significantly. The 2024 Mustang that Edmunds tested, the GT, is closing on 3,900 pounds. That is pretty heavy for a American muscle car. Mustang Ecoboost is pretty much 4,000 pounds, which is completely insane, having such a big, heavy Mustang that used to be like 3,300, 3,400 pounds, which was considered heavy back then compared to the competitors like the 370Zs and some of the BMWs. And now it's just like you're almost approaching like a full-size sedan territory with approaching 4,000 pounds. So I'm really curious as to why that is. I know part of it has to do with the increase in weight, and weight obviously helps with the putting the power down, but also, you know, the heavier the car, the slower it's going to accelerate, right? So it's gained a lot of weight for the S650 Mustang generation, but it also has a little bit more horsepower, and the weight increase is not substantial. Like if you were to get a Mustang GT Premium for the S550 Mustang, you're probably looking at around 3,800 pounds or so. So it's only a 100-pound increase in the weight of the Mustang GTs for the new one. So it's not like a significant increase where you can say, okay, the car has gotten significantly heavier, so the increase in horsepower is just kind of negated by that. Honestly, it's not looking good for Ford that, I'm sure we're going to get full-blown track tests and 0 to 60 tests from all these other car journalists. So we're going to have a lot more numbers to compare them. But the first numbers that are out are just not impressive. I'm just not impressed as an owner of an S550 Mustang who kind of wants to upgrade to the S650 Mustang for basically refined 10-speed transmission, more power, and, interior, I mean, love it or hate it, it's, that's where the future is. It's got a lot of customization. The graphics on different modes that I've looked at looks absolutely killer. So while the numbers initially did not impress me because, I have a 460 horsepower Mustang GT and going from 460 to 480 or maybe even 486 with the active exhaust just was not impressive. That's something I can just tune the vehicle and, cover that much horsepower. But I was really looking forward to basically getting the real world numbers down because even though it may not have the high horsepower number, if it can put the power down, much better than the S550 Mustang, then you would have a much faster vehicle. But as of right now, it looks like you're going to get a slower vehicle compared to the Mustang GT for the S550 Mustang generation. And honestly, I just have even more of a difficult time to justify that kind of money for a slower vehicle. And like we've said, mostly it's a refresh. So it's an S550 Mustang refresh, really. It's not entirely new design from ground up. It's just updating some of the, chassis a little bit. A lot of reviewers have said that, the handling is much better. But in the end, it's still an S550 Mustang chassis. And, and getting a slower vehicle when you want performance out of your American V8 doesn't sound all that exciting to me. Well, guys, so that's all I've got for the latest and greatest numbers on the S650 Mustang. We've got the 0 to 60, we've got the quarter-mile time for the Mustang GT and the Mustang Ecoboost. I'll post up a link below in the description so you can read up more on those tests, how they were conducted, and what, how the vehicles were equipped and all of that stuff. Comment below what are your thoughts. Am I just being dramatic and, the numbers are good for what they are, or were you expecting also maybe a low 4 0 to 60 from a manual transmission and, easily a high 3s 0 to 60 from the Mustang GT 10-speed automatic transmission? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you smash that like button and, of course, subscribe to Red 50 for more videos.